So let's talk about the overarching story.
They didn't
So-
know. They didn't know what they wanted to do. That's what I'm gonna say. They did not know where they wanted to go with this fucking story.
The crazy thing is when you play Inquisition and you're playing through the overarching story of it all, right? Everything is like seamlessly connects. So the overarching story and the character story and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go back to our overarching story, but essentially the overarching story was kind of hindered by the character stories instead of like it all meshing well together and everything. It was actually kind of hindered in a way that it shouldn't have been.
It was very much hindered. It was okay. Like here's what the vibe of the game felt like. Okay, it was like, all right, we found Solus. We fucked up his ritual. There's two elven gods on the loose that are gonna that can control the blight and are gonna destroy the world.
Right.
Cool. I'm gonna go and have some coffee. Is that all right? I'm gonna go back home and we're gonna go on a coffee date. Would you like to come on a coffee date with me?
It's one of those.
There are rampaging gods set
Right.
loose on the world, and let's go on a coffee date. I gotta go have dinner with my mom. Do you want to come with me?
One of the crazy things is to and I'm probably going to make a lot of comparisons to doing this because honestly I played pretty much every BioWare game.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Adam, you've really just stuck with the Dragon Age franchise. You haven't really played Mass Effect, which is criminal.
I watched Anthony play it, so
Still, regardless, with Mass Effect, Mass Effect 1 and 2, you had this whole sense of there's this doom, but it's not apocalyptic, right? Like it's not necessarily apocalyptic in a sense.
yeah.
And then you get to Mass Effect 3. The shit's apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you feel that shit.
Right.
The music, everything about the shit is apocalyptic. You have these gods that come out of the Fade that can control one of the most dangerous things, or the most dangerous thing.
The most dangerous thing in the Dragon Age universe.
In Dragon Age, and they are literally able to make this shit feel alive and blighting towns and all this and stuff like that. And what you're telling me is they blighted like three things, right? They blight like three things. We get, and spoilers. I'm gonna give you guys like 5 seconds here because we are going to get into spoiler territory with this. We're talking about the story, so just so you understand, this is spoiler territory right now.
Mm-hmm. Big spoilers.
Okay. All right. So you're blighting the whole town, right? And then the Inquisitor comes in, and the Inquisitor is only giving you like little bit of stuff about what's going on in the south, I believe it is South Thetis. And she's only there giving you like a little bit of stuff, and it doesn't feel sorrowful. It doesn't feel like
it doesn't feel impactful. There is no threat. Okay, you're
right.
He's like, you get the misses and everything, and the Inquisitor's like, hey, the Blight's taken over most of Southern Thetis, but we're holding it back. It's fine. You just do your thing. You go on your coffee dates and solve everybody's personal problems, and we'll just hold back the most apocalyptic thing to ever happen. Period. Enjoy your coffee. We're fighting for our lives over here. And it's like, okay, so they're blighting the entirety of Southern Thetis, and the only blight we see is like the fucking Anderfels. barely the Anderfels.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, when you're going into it, it should feel like the apocalypse is nigh. Like, it feels like at the end of Inquisition, in the DLC, which I know Adam didn't play, you should go back in Inquisition, honestly.
I should. I honestly didn't know that the DLC came. I didn't know DLC.
You should go into Inquisition, honestly. Just do it in Inquisition like a couple of weeks and just play that. But regardless, when you when Solus betrays you, cuts off your arm, it's like this whole big sad ass scene. Like it's crazy, and then you start to really feel that Solus is the next biggest fucking motherfucker to come out.
Mm-hmm.
He is the guy. He is the god. He is Loki.
Mm-hmm.
He is Loki. You know what I mean? And I don't know if anybody knows much about Norse mythology, right? But Loki was the trigger for Ragnarok. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like Loki started the end times of the entire play of the gods, of the Norse gods.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like this should have been that, and instead you sideline him.
Mm-hmm.
You kill off one of the most beloved characters
Mm-hmm.
for seemingly no reason.
None.
And you know, it felt like Veilguard felt like the Last Jedi. Okay? Where this man literally said, burn the past.
Yeah.
Kill it. No! We saw how that worked with the Last Jedi. You don't do that. You don't just disregard everything that came before. You don't just try to shove it out. You don't just try to get rid of it.
Especially because of how much you could have built on top of that.
Right. It's like there are so many better ways that this story could have happened. Right? Like you could have had Solus as the big bad the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, where you have to go out, and he's like leading this elven rebellion in all of Thedas. Because I mean, come on, the elves were discriminated against in all 3 games. You see this discrimination.
Yeah.
You see this discrimination,
straight
slavery,
up
all of it.
racism. Just straight up slavery, racism, discrimination against the elves.
Exactly. And
You could have built on that. But I feel like they're too afraid to fucking write a story like that.
Well, I mean, it's fucking weird, because it's like, okay, all of a sudden now in Dragon Age Veilguard, the elves are treated as first-class citizens.
Yeah.
And when did that happen? How did that happen?
Exactly. It's been how long since the Inquisition?
Right, like what the hell? When did that? No, that's not something that just gets solved overnight. And we definitely didn't solve that Inquisition. We may have solved the whole Templar mage thing, but we 100% did not solve the rampant racism that was happening.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, Cressa, they might get crucified on Twitter.
Oh, sorry, X.
X. which is crazy that it is. And you know this is kind of going into the problem with Tosh too. It's almost like they're afraid to offend anyone, so they're not making a good story. Why would you be afraid of offending someone showing the plight of the elves and them rising up?
Right.
I mean, you could have done a whole thing where you had the elves that were the good elves that were rising up, and the bad elves rising up.
Right.
You could have had choices that were impactful, which you didn't. I played through the game twice.
The
I played the game twice.
Were so fucking just dull and weightless.
Oh my god. It's awful. I played through the game freaking twice. Why? And I chose either city. I chose either city, you know, to die. Minrathos looked almost the same, except for there was like maybe a couple of areas that were destroyed, but it was not blighted. So you're telling me that you had this blighted dragon, but Minrathos isn't blighted? But what? I don't understand.
It's
it should to me it should have been more sorrowful, but it wasn't. Like it looked like there was a choice a proper choice. You know, like it wasn't like you couldn't make your story your own. Like there was a proper choice you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Okay. And to me, it's awful. Like the Venatori were literally in the same spot in Minrathos if you chose the Venter to die. They were not like just randomly going on the streets attacking you like they should have. If the Venatori control Minrathos, why are they not randomly just coming at when I go into the town? Why are they not just randomly attacking me on sight?
Right.
What are you doing? You know, I'm playing through Red Dead Redemption, and I gotta say, this game is still leagues beyond a lot of the fucking games that we have right now, because I'm playing Red Dead Redemption, and it's the remastered version, and I'm just riding on my horse going through. I see this guy just starts harassing this girl, punches her in the face. I'm like, what the fuck? Just randomly out in the field. So I go and I'm like, oh no, buddy. Go ahead, shoot him in the leg and lasso him up and hog tie him, and the missus thanks me. I'm like, of course, and going about my way. You know what I'm saying? It's random shit like that right. Makes a game fucking fun. And
the cities felt dead.
Yes, they did.
Dead. Dude, there was 3-4 different fucking events happening in the same exact location. Why? There was no like, oh god, the game felt so small too.
Like you have these things that have happened in this game, and yet it still seems like you guys just don't want to make it that way. It's impactful enough. The whole what's her name? Harding. Harding's storyline, okay, with the Titans.
Yeah, that was big.
The creation of the Blight, that was a big fucking revelation.
She died in my story. She died in my story.
The fact that you can kill her.
She's supposed to be the Oracle of the Stone. She dead. Right. She cooked.
The fact that you can kill her when she seems like she should be the only character that should survive because of how big the story is.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. Like, what? That's not what you do. Like in Mass Effect 2, I think literally all of your companions, except for maybe like 4 or 5, can die. Like you get like 12, 13 companions in that game, and I think like you could save like maybe 3 or 4 or something like that. You know, because it makes sense that their story carries over. Why would you kill them knowing that their story has more to carry over? It's obvious.
Right.
But in Dragon Age Veilguard, you had this whole thing where she probably should have been the main character to me, pretty much.
Yeah. You could have made the whole fucking game based on that, to be honest.
Like she is probably the only side story, me thinking about it, really thinking about all the characters. She's probably the only story that honestly weaves in well with the overarching narrative.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it makes sense.
Because it had to do with the fucking with the gods. Yes. Because they were the ones who killed the Titans, stole their blood to give themselves physical bodies. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and
what are you doing? And why wasn't fucking Gilganon? Gilganon, I can't even really remember the fight, but you don't really fight her.
No, you don't fight her. No, you fight a bunch of fucking ads, right, and then you pop the bubble.
Yep, that's what it was. Why wouldn't you fight Gilganon? I mean.
Yo, every time I heard her name, it was like Ghislaine Maxwell.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, I can't help it. Every time I hear that, Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine and Elgerdon.
Yo, and you know, I actually enjoyed the Elgerdon fight to an extent.
Nah,
because it actually seemed like
trash.
It seemed like he like in that sense, that was the only part of the story that really felt like there was something apocalyptic going on. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't necessarily a good fight, but the atmosphere of it at least felt better.
The atmosphere was okay. It was okay.
I mean honestly the atmosphere of the entire game was inconsistent.
Oh yeah.
And then you get to the end of the game, the very end of the game, and then that's when you start feeling like, oh, okay, so this is actually an issue. Oh, the apocalypse is actually here. Yeah, probably should have taken those 80 coffee breaks, but you know, it is what it is, guys.
What we saw at the end of the game should have been what we saw very shortly after they got released from the fucking prison. Okay, and then the entire game should have been based on making our way through the world in that setting. Okay, right. Because everything was too cheery, everything was too patient, everything was too calm. Okay, there was no sense of urgency that these apocalyptic gods had just been released from their prison.
Yeah.
But the dialogue suggests otherwise.
Oh God, the dialogue.
The dialogue was like, guys, y'all better figure something out. This is the end of the world. Y'all better get moving. What are you doing? And then,
oh my God,
it's like, hey, coffee break, dinner with my mom.
Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk with the griffin.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go for a walk through the forest with the griffin. Hey, I gotta go pick some flowers in my graveyard.
They made it seem like this was the type of game that they could just take their time with the apocalypse. Like
that's exactly, dude. There was no sense of threat. The gods did nothing the entire game up until the last fucking 10 minutes. Nothing that you saw anyway. Everything was there in text and shit in the dialogue. Exactly. You got the missives from all over the place. Like, guys, the blight is fucking ridiculous. This is the worst we've ever seen it ever. Like, we are struggling out here. People are dying. We can't hold this goddamn line. Things are bad, bro. Things are fucking terrible. And we're having a little fucking party over here. It's like what the fuck is going on right now?
It's like they tried to do what they did in Mass Effect 3, except in Mass Effect 3 it made sense. There was this DLC called the Citadel, which, you know, pretty much had all the characters, all the side characters that you've had throughout every game, because, you know, they actually made it so that way the other two games mattered. But anyway, they had all the side characters go in, and they all met up for like this one last party. One last big party, one last night hurrah and everything like that, you know, really to get to, because they were all going to attack. The attack was planned the next morning because they were all ready, everything was ready, everything. We were finally able to push back enough of the Reapers, and now that everybody's coming to Earth. The apocalypse isn't on pause because we already know that this is coming, but they did it naturally.
Right.
This was not natural.
No.
What are you doing? You guys wanted to create some type of Last of Us type thing when Joel and Ellie were walking and found the giraffes. But they were walking on a journey towards something. You guys had us walking through a griffin while the apocalypse is going on. And then justified it by saying that they had to make they had to wait to make a new knife. Okay, but while they were making a new knife, you're telling me that we weren't doing anything else, that nothing else in the world could be going on they were doing?
But they were. That's the thing. They were pushing the blight everywhere, except where we were. Except where we were. Everything's fine in our area, but the rest of the world, the rest of the world is fucked, bro. Oh,
like, why didn't the blight get progressively worse as you kept going through the game? I would I should have been seeing blight show up in cities and things like that, right? Like
the cities, the forest, the fucking everywhere you went should have been blighted. The entire game should have been fucking blighted.
Exactly. Yo, when I stepped out the fucking thing, I should just step right in blight. There should be some blight right on my shoe. I should be looking at it and be saying, "Ew, blight."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Ew. Brother, ew.
But that didn't happen.